Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's special budget session meeting. I'm Mayor John Logal, and I'll start off the meeting by calling it to order at 9:30. And first of all, we'll have our territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land, and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation, with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectively acknowledge the township of Allen-McCullum is located on the Mississaugan Ashaninbenk territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan Ashaninbenk. The township of Allen-McCullum respectively acknowledges that the Mississaugan Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and the integrity for generations to come. And I'll also read from the procedural bylaw. The procedural bylaw identifies how and when members of the public may take part in a council meeting. Regular council meetings are open to the public and they are encouraged to attend. To speak at a regular meeting, a request for delegation form must be submitted to the clerk. These forms are available on the website. Public meetings are open to the public. They allow members of the public to address council without the need to pre-register their request. An example of a public meeting is a planning meeting where land use planning applications are reviewed and council seeks input from the public. Closed sessions may occur during a council meeting to discuss confidential matters as identified in the Municipal Act, Section 239. Members of the public are not permitted to these meetings, in these meetings. And so today's would be a regular council meeting, but I believe we do have a delegation from the library here that will be speaking with us. Right. Before we go on to item 3, I would like to introduce to everyone here in the room and those outside as well. We have a new staff member. Her name is Emily Cartledge, and she is our new clerk. And I've had the pleasure of working with her a few times over the past couple of years, or 5 years probably now, I guess it is. But Emily has been took the opportunity to come here when we announced last spring, or pardon me, last December, I guess it was. And Emily, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? I think you've met everybody on council, haven't you?
Okay. All right. I think we're good now. Yes, met everybody except Councillor O'Neill, who's online. So I'll meet you at some point in person. But yes, thank you, Mayor Logal. I'm happy to be here and, looking forward to joining Allen-McCullum and going from there.
Thank you. Well, we wish you all the best. We'll move on to item 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Deputy Mayor Stover. Geared up.
Through you, Mayor Logal, I'll be passing a declaration of pecuniary interest to Madam Clerk. And it has to do with agenda item 7.1, number 5 on that list. It also has to do with pages 66 and 69. The reason, Mayor Logal, for this pecuniary interest is litigation with the library board. I would also like to add, during our last meeting with the budget, the library board was discussed. I declared it. The actual documents like this, I did not declare, we did not discuss them. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other members of council have anything to declare? Mary Catherine, you're there, are you?
Yes, I am. Sorry, it took me a second to get the mute button. But yes, I am unfortunately not able to sit in a chair today, so I am laying here joining you.
I, Mary Catherine was traveling yesterday and injured herself and,
Oh,
she
dear.
called us last night to let us know she wouldn't be here. So that's why we're missing out without the Councillor O'Neill here today. Mary Catherine, will you be, coming on screen or just, if you have to make a comment or nothing, will you be putting up your hand or how will I see that?
Yes, I'll use putting up my hand, and if I can't, I will come on screen then. But I
Okay.
will use putting up my hand.
Okay, as long as you use that hand, signal, I believe you can work with us.
Yeah,
You know how to do that?
yeah.
Okay, perfect. And if I miss you, don't be afraid to let me know. Okay, we're going to move on to approval of the agenda as circulated. Be it resolved, the agenda for the budget session of Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 be approved. Can I get moving a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have item 5, budget session minutes of February 7th, 2024. Be it resolved that the budget session minutes of February 7th be approved. Any comments, discussions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. Presentate. I'm sorry. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Booth. Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, next we have presentations and Alan McCulderman Public Library Board regarding their proposed 2024 budget. And before you get up here and get started, maybe I'd like to just introduce as best I can the chair, Bill Ferguson, the vice chair, Marcia Jones, Tricia Dunk, pardon me, can't read my own writing. Tricia, and I see we also have board member Ken is here as well, I believe. Well, thank you all for coming. Bill, take the chair if you like, or who's coming with you? Good morning and welcome. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Mayor, councilors, and staff, thank you for giving us the time to address you today. The library board and staff, thank you to the township staff for the support you continue to provide. Our staff have been working hard to determine areas of growth and are developing plans to make our libraries more successful. We would like to thank CAO Dave Dawson and Nancy McDonald. Their ongoing support for our endeavors has been invaluable. We feel the respect for our work and appreciate it. We'd also like to thank Treasurer Nicole Spoon for the time and effort you put towards supporting us in our efforts to understand and come to terms with not only the budget process, but in all areas of our finances. As board members, most of our experiences in this area at this level are limited. Your support and understanding is an important piece of this process. With regards to the budget, we have been able to take a strong hold of our budget with members understanding the implications of each of the lines. We look forward to developing a stronger budget for next year. I would personally like to extend a thank you to Trish Dunk for being gracious and understanding as we worked with her and with Ken Nerona, who has experience in this area far beyond the board's expertise. Ken has spent many hours analyzing our budget, asking those tough questions that need to be asked to gain a stronger understanding of the library and the process. Thank you needs to go to Marcia Jones as well. His insight and questions allow us to explore other possibilities along the way. The budget is possible because of the terrific work they have done. And one last thank you needs to go to the library board and the staff, an integral part of the process of developing this budget. While they were not directly involved in establishing it, every meeting they raised questions and looked for answers. Every minute of participation sheds light on another piece of the puzzle concerning our libraries. Without their input, both in meetings and in discussions, we would not be where we are today. Every 4 years, we have a new board and a new council. We begin a new relationship with efforts made by both parties to understand the nature of our relationship. The board is both independent and also tied to the township. This relationship is fraught with pitfalls and misunderstandings and must be more clearly defined so that future councils and boards will more quickly see where the relationship is standing. This council has been quite supportive of our efforts, and while we move in positive directions, there are always going to be questions that need to be answered and issues that need to be resolved. It is the nature of a growing and trusting relationship. Our income is not controlled by us. 2 of the 3 parts of it are mandated by law. The first is the provincial contribution, which is $16,751. Unfortunately, this amount has not changed since 1992, when the act was created. Funding in Ontario is based on household rate of $4.80 in rural areas and $4.08 in urban areas. While we appreciate the aid this income provides, the mere fact that it's not kept up at a current pace over the years is disappointing. Our libraries can reflect a stronger reality than kept pace. The second income also has been mandated by law, is the municipal contribution. This past year, it was $286. The library board is thankful for this contribution, as it is this money that helps run our library systems. Our third type of income is through fundraising. Our fundraising efforts over the years have been both strong and weak. This past year was a good year for us, as we raised over $4,000. This is an increase of 153% over the previous year. This money has been earmarked for programming and will be used to enhance our efforts in this area. Libraries by law may not charge fees for service. What we do must be free. For this budget, we have done our absolute best to be responsible and stay within guidelines we have established. Do we desire more money to run libraries? Of course. But we're also aiming to live up to our responsibilities. Our budget came in at 5.4%. It is 4.1% if we do not include consultant fees, which we covered with our reserve fund. We kept it at this level so that we may further work with our staff to understand more clearly where we need to stand on our efforts in programming. Other areas and issues have taken up much time and energy. It's a long process to see what needs to be done and to affect the changes to make it happen. Inflation has taken its toll on our budget, so much so that almost all of the increase you see on individual lines are reflective of this reality. We did our best to keep it reasonable, but as mentioned, most of it is out of our control. In the past year, our libraries have accumulated the following numbers. The total number of users involved with the library is 100,751. This number is up 54,000 from last year. This total includes the numbers from circulation of physical material, e-material, social media engagements, program attendance, computer use, and Wi-Fi users. There were 20,603 items circulated in total this last year. These items were 647 DVDs, 1,182 magazines, 3,533 ebooks, 2,087 e-audiobooks through Libby, 7,683 books through adult patrons, 201 young adult books, 4,079 books for kids. 42 Ontario Park passes were used. 2,358 people attended our in-library events. This is a 1,149 person increase over the previous year. We have 1,232 card holders. This is an increase of almost 200 from the previous year. Our push is to raise this number. In evaluation of the library use, it is approximately 900,000. This is the number demonstrating an increase over previous years. As we continue to reach out to our customers and demonstrate growth, this number should increase. Our numbers for community involvement reflect improvements over the past years. We continue to develop our understanding of the process and are determining needs and direction as we look to improve our numbers and statements for next year. Our expectation originally was to have over 3,000 cardholders within our 4-year mandate. That is still our goal, but with a desire to reach that goal sooner than 3 years from now. With more community engagement, we expect these numbers to improve this year. With over 100,000 people having contact in some form with the library, we can see value and growth in this area. As you are aware, almost all of our budget is out of our hands. These are costs that are fixed and have to be paid no matter what. That leaves little room for movement within our budget. This is also where almost all of the increases in this budget lie. These costs are reflected in the following. Salaries and benefits, the total is $201,232.52. That takes up 58% of our budget. One thing you'll notice in our budget is increased our wages other than the 4.8% increase suggested by Nicole. As we looked at this, it became clear that a 4.8% increase in salary is also an increase in all other lines associated with wages, thus driving up the wage line. The benefits listed are for one employee only, as her hours dictated that she needed benefits. Library staff have expressed some concern with their safety during the winter months. It is dark and dreary, and often they are alone exiting buildings. Occasionally, there is poor lighting due to outages, and there are dark corners and winter storms. There have been some uncomfortable situations when they are alone. The board has decided to hire an employee or extend the hours of some staff so that there will be 2 people in each library during evenings in November and December for a total of 8 weeks. Our feeling is this person should be performing programming during these times. Township costs and insurance total. $48,825. This is 13.2% of the budget. We have some concerns about the increasing township costs. Township expenses was higher than had been budgeted for in 2023, with no prior warning. This cost increase was $9,699 in 2023, as reflected on the last statement we received. Specifically, they were $2,420 for insurance and $7,126 in township costs, with an additional $153 charged separately for building and ground maintenance. Also specifically, an increase of 46% is budgeted for this year in the area of HR, accounting, and auditing. Seems like a rather large number in HR line for having 1 employee using benefits and only 6 staff. We are wondering about the numbers, different numbers for accounting services, 2%, HR services, 7%, and audit services, 4%. It will be discussed further in the year as we finalize our MOU. In examining these items more closely, we are hoping to reach a stronger understanding of this issue so that we can make suggestions to improve it. The predicted insurance discount from last year did not happen as reflected in our 2023 budget. The reality is that insurance did increase by 56% over last year's budget. Although this number was corrected during the year, our 2020 budget still reflects the original number. I mention this to demonstrate the consistency that budgets have when numbers can change after budgets have been approved. Purchase services total $38,625. That is 11.8% of the budget. This is for books, online subscriptions, materials processing, and other subscriptions and videos. The question was asked about our subscriptions. We have magazines both in paper form and online through Libby. We have subscription fees for our joint automated library service initiative. This is where we catalog all our material, where we have circulation material and our sign up with new patrons. We have membership in OLA, the Ontario Library Association, which provides the most up-to-date information concerning libraries. We also, through OLS, the Ontario Library Services, have a commitment to e-resources and training for library board members and staff. For 2024, this will be around $2,800, depending on how many other libraries are part of this initiative. We also have a subscription to the Federation of Ontario Public Libraries. This is another avenue for keeping us up to date concerning libraries. All of these are services which are vital to run an up-to-date library. Our book supplier has noted there will be an 8% increase in the cost of processing materials. This may increase as the year goes on. This is in addition to the constantly high cost of purchasing books for libraries through our suppliers, as opposed to purchasing individual books from a bookstore. These high costs in each book we purchase are because each book is being read by any number of people. This means that both the book companies and the authors are receiving much less money than they would if each of these books were purchased in a store rather than borrowed to the library. These costs will only increase in the future. As you've seen in our budget, we will be adding additional streaming service Hoopla at a cost of $2,000. Initially, patrons will have up to 10 screenings per month on each library card. Some of the costs have been offset by lowering our DVD budget and moving the money to this program. We will continue to monitor the usage of DVDs and determine at a later date whether more money should be moved to this from this line. The future cost of Hoopla will depend on the number of uses we generate during the year. The last three categories I mentioned make a total of 82% of our budget. Tech. Total $18,294, which is 5.6% of our budget. In 2024, we will be updating our staff circulation computers at each branch and moving existing circulation computers for patron use. This is to accommodate changes to the circulation programs we use daily. It's something that needs to be done as frequent updates to the programs we use require more speed and memory to run every update. Without these updates, we are prone to crashing among other issues. The capital cost of library equipment is $3,500 approximately. That is 5.25% of the budget expenses as a whole. We have an issue with our telephones in that they are landlines. While almost everyone else has cell phones. When people move to our area, they still have cell phones connected to the area in which they once lived. This leads our landline to make long distance calls, when in reality, the person they're talking to may be less than a kilometer away. It's an issue we're exploring with Bell to try to resolve. Third-party fees total $35,000, 4.1% of the budget. This is our line for consultant fees. This line reflects an ongoing expense that's out of our control. It's our hope that it will resolve itself shortly. We're hoping to never be in this situation again as it reflects poorly on our organization. All the items I've mentioned that are out of our control are 92.4% of our budget. The remaining 7.6% of our budget covers everything else. They include office supplies, a total of $3,900 or 1.2%. In 2024, it costs roughly $640 to replace one set of toner cartridges, and we have 3 sets to replace each year, at least once a year. As we have mentioned previously, there's a need to raise the number of card holders within the libraries. Tricia is insisting that everyone who wishes to access any of our programs must have a library card. In order to increase the number of library card holders, we need to acquire more library cards. As stated before, our goal is near 3,000 card holders in the township at a cost of $1 per card. We have to increase our office supply limit this year. Programming, $3,200, 1% of our budget. This year, we had many more programs for the residents. While we had our tried and true programs that have been popular, we also had some other presentations that demonstrate some of the diversity in the program. Some highlights include the Alma Colburn Public Library weekly story times at our Grafton and Rosemead libraries in collaboration with Early On Northumberland. We have many programs directed at seniors such as digital literacy, healthcare, nutrition, long-term care at home, home and safety, for fire safety for older adults. Other programming included a bite-free presentation by St. John's Ambulance to learn about canine behaviors and to be safe around dogs. Truth and it's something around truth and reconciliation. Brian Beaver came and gave a presentation. There were many arts and crafts programs, poetry, easy, among many others. We celebrated Family Literacy Day with a video of staff reading Gifts Open Book. Our library podcast was in collaboration with 89.7, Northumberland 89.7, where we talked about to community members with an interesting story to tell. Some of our guests in 2020 included local resident Betty Smith, sports hockey broadcaster Brian McFarland, authors of the Castle Massacres, Sharon Cook and Margaret Carson. This program ended when the grant money ran out. We have decided to re-implement it this year as there is value in exploring local interests through the people who live here. They are something original to our libraries, and we believe in the strong value they bring to our communities. Once we have access to our library website, they will continue to be a fine addition to the information about our township. We wish to have more author visits and will, but the costs the authors have incurred have increased. This has everything else forcing us to pay higher prices for their services. We have fundraised some money to put toward making this happen. Ideally, our programming budget should have a stronger representation within our system. As we work towards a stronger understanding of the meaning and needs of this area, we'll be asking for stronger support in future budgets. The plans Tricia has initiated for this year are reflected in her programming 2024 PDF. As she puts final touches on programming for the end of this year, she's hoping to keep in mind how to improve it for 2025. Remaining $2,000, 0.6% of the budget. This covers the cost of attending the OLA conference and other professional workshops that enhance our staff's understanding of their roles. Training courses allow for dialogue with others, work in the field, and allow for discussions to take place that our branches will benefit from. Our budget is top heavy with items we have to pay for as part of our business. These items are required in order to run a business such as ours. In our estimation, there needs to be a better baseline for programming in order to improve our visibility in the community. As this year progresses, we will be examining this avenue through consultations to see where other libraries stand on the programming budget. Preparing this budget, our first as a board, we're seeing needs arise in other areas also, and we'll be propelling them into the next year's budget in our efforts to provide a stronger and more viable library system. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bill. Do your other co-parts have other comments?
Yeah, there's.
Sorry.
Sure.
You can take it right off that.
So that's an awful lot of detail that you've all received. I think the bottom line is when you look at the budget that the library has, 3/4 of it, or actually 90% of it, is in 2 or 3 line items that the board itself really doesn't control. Whether you consider it full-time employee and personnel charges, that's if you use Bill's number of $273,000 from last year, I think the total line item was about $200,000 of that is personnel expenses. The second biggest item is the charges that come back for what we call the township expenses, right? Grounds, clearing, maintenance, all of that. Roughly speaking, in this budget this year, close to $250,000 is in those 2 items. We can fundraise, but that's where we need your help as well, is to determine how those expenses are allocated, should they be allocated to us, and how do we work with the council to not just be more efficient, but to be more for the community. This money is really important. The board, the libraries you've got that we have in this community are community hubs. They're more than just libraries. And I think it's really important to look at that, balancing that against sort of the expense increase you're going to look at.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a couple of comments. First of all, we communicate quite a bit with Greg. Greg keeps us up to date on what's going on. And some of the goals that you've set this term are unique and very good. And I appreciate and I'll speak on behalf of council, but I think we all feel that this board is really going out and working hard to do some good things in advances. I do have a couple more specific ones. Well, I wanted to mention the fundraising. That was super. And I believe Marcia had a lot to do with that, but I'm sure it was the whole board, but kudos for all of you for that. The grants, I knew it was a long time ago, but that's 1992. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah, promise of fair grants. It's has not changed.
And did I catch that it was based on population or not?
It was slashed by 40% during like first government. Since that time, the grant has not risen.
Okay,
I do believe, and I didn't dig too much into it, but I will. I do believe that there is supposed to be a per capita allocation.
Sorry, I do believe that there's supposed to be per capita allocation. It would be interesting to know what our population has grown
since then.
since then, because I'm thinking it's a lot more.
Probably at least minimum 50%, maybe even 75 or 80%.
And then I think we need to work with the provincial government to say, sorry, I don't know if this is council language or not, but you got to pony up.
Yeah, I think council would be more than willing to support anything on that.
And I want to be clear about one thing, and I know I'm taking Trish's time. The board appreciates everything the council does. Like, we know that trying to get a handle on the numbers is always a moving target sometimes. We just want to make sure that we're with you on that. And that's where Councillor Booth has been a huge help.
I did notice that the wages had gone up more than the 4.8%, but you explained that that's got a lot to do with this concern about night and having someone else, and that's a legitimate.
I think that's a fraction of it. The wages in the total are we're essentially the 4.8%.
But there was a reallocation of time because we do have a couple of personnel issues. To be frank, the nighttime sort of November, December is for 8 weeks, and that's a total of about 6.5 hours a week. I think is the right number. It's a fractional charge. I think we estimated it at $1,500. Just, you know, and it's a safety issue more than anything else,
Well,
just to be careful.
that's my point. Those are public buildings used, but not only for the library, but for every place else. And I don't know if anybody's asked to look at the lighting in one of the, or each one of them, but maybe we should be asking staff to do that.
It's also a safety issue because we have female staff. We want to make sure that they're safe. And so we're taking all the steps necessary to make that happen.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Then we'll go to Trish. Go ahead, Mike.
To you, Mayor Lobo. Yeah, just a few, and I thank you for coming here and doing the presentation. And can you kind of put it in kind of perspective, really, when it's only 2 or 3 lines there that actually for the budget. And you know, my concern is, you know, like the overall is, if I look for 220 or 2024, it's $320,000 for the library budget for the total operating expenses, and you get about $60,000 revenue back out of that. So you know, it's a lot of taxpayers' money. And you know, you explained that there's a lot of stuff that's online already, and you have like 1,233 card holders. So it's a small percentage. So, you know, working together with the libraries and the council to try to get this up is probably very important in my view, compared to what, you know, if you take this money and put it into 100% of roads, what's 100% of our municipality use, and roads and culverts and bridges and stuff like that, compared to the small amount that use the library. And I know under legislation that we have to have it, but I think we need to work together to build it more, because I think maybe from what I can see, and we never had this opportunity last year with the budget, so I really appreciate it this time. And the importance of we have to work together. I don't like it that we have no say about the library once we hand off the money. And I think we need a better partnership there. And if that's possible, that's something that we should work towards. And you know, it's, the, you know, you know, there's $3,400 just for cards for the members. I don't know, can that be online? And, instead of buying the cards and stuff, and then, as far as like, for the library goes, I don't ever see anything when it comes to trails, like the motorized trails, the non-motorized trails, events in the town, the sports and recreation and stuff like that can come out of the library for, to help us promote that kind of stuff. And I know you just come to our Parks and Recs and Culture meetings, stuff like that. So that's very important also too, just to kind of work together with that. But I think as a group for this year coming, we should maybe have some meetings together with council to look towards how to build the library. You know, instead of just sitting here and never seeing you till next year when it comes to budget time and we have the same conversation again.
One of the things that we're doing is we are, have been putting together an agreement between the council and us. And our board has been working on this. We're just putting the finishing touches on it. And once we have them, we will be contacting council to have a presentation for that so that you can be aware of what we would like to see. And we will meet with staff and discuss with them and try and reach an agreement between us that is fair to both sides. There hasn't been an agreement before. It has been one determination. And we want to make that an equal thing between us. We don't want it just to be one-sided anymore.
That's good.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Okay. Anybody else? Greg?
Just through your worship to make a comment. Thank you very much to Bill, Trish, Ken and Marcia for coming today. I think it's great that the library board is well represented here. I just wanted to say that how pleased I am being able to be on the library board and working with a bunch of very hardworking people. There's a lot of expertise on here. I've learned a lot in the last few months. Libraries is not my, you know, I won't say I didn't go to them as kids. I did because we didn't have encyclopedias back then. So, but I just wanted to say it's a very good group and they're realistic with their goals and that. And they know that they want to get the library cards up and people are giving ideas and there's fundraisers and everything. And I just wanted to say I'm proud to be part of that group to learn from them. And I think this budget is very realistic. When you actually look at the numbers, there's very little control over a lot of it. And the control that they did have, it's realistic what they're asking for. So, and that's coming from a guy like me, that usually looks at numbers and wants to see if there's any slush or stuff like that in there. And there is not with this one. What they're asking for is exactly what they use. So just kudos to you. Thank you very much.
Chris, do you have any further comments?
If I would be allowed to, I wrote something I'd like to read, just reflecting upon my time working at the Elmwood Haldeman Public Library, if that's okay if I read what I wrote.
Sure.
Okay, I have worked at the Elmwood Haldeman Public Library for almost 19 years, and I have loved watching the growth of our library system, as well as the growth of the Elmwood Haldeman Township. I have watched families grow, sadly said goodbye to elderly patrons, and cherished every connection I have made in this community. I have read to children, built puzzles, helped them locate books while parents take a much needed break. I have taught kids art, baked gross cakes, and even scared them sometimes to tears during our haunted library. Would I change anything? Absolutely not. We have built a strong library system with great staff, a solid library board that cares, and I'm proud of that. What a library means to a small community speaks volumes. We are more than just books. We are a community hub where families come and unwind, neighbors meet up, and seniors escape their solitude. These days, a public library is more important than ever. With the rising cost of living, a library offers sanctuary and unburdens some of the financial pressures. All the services and programs we offer at the library are free to the residents of Elmwood Haldeman, and I know the community appreciates that and all that we do. I recently went to a community meeting in Cobourg where a discussion on what the community needs to thrive in today's world took place. We talked about third spaces. A third space can be defined as locations that facilitate social interaction outside of the people you live or work with and encourage public relaxation. These are places where you encounter regulars or frequenters of a space, as well as potential new connections. A third place is an anchor of the community. A public library is a much needed third space for our community, as are the services and programs we offer. During that meeting, I talked about my growing up in a rural community. The public library was my place of happiness that opened a world I wouldn't have otherwise had were it not for the public library and the municipality's support. As manager of public services and presently acting CEO, it has always been my mandate to offer all that we can for the community and hope that, beyond a doubt, we are someone's third space and bring a sense of inclusion, connection, and happiness. I know I feel all that just being able to say I work at the Elmwood-Calderman Public Library. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Got anything to close up, Bill?
Just one last thing. Councillor Ainsworth, $35,000 of our budget came from our own money this year. We've put it back from reserves into our budget, which would reduce the total number of our budget. Because if you look at the consultant fees line, those two lines cancel themselves out. And just, I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but I wanted to point that out. So our actual budget would not be what it is. It'd be $35,000 less if we didn't put that increase in ourselves.
Thank you. We've got to move on because we've got a full day. So I do appreciate you, Bill, and your team for being here this morning. You made a good presentation. Lots of things to look at and everything else, but it's obviously, very obviously, that someone has really put the pencil to the information and has taken the time to do that, and we do appreciate that. Pardon me? Oh, Councillor O'Neill, you have a comment?
Yes, as you guys know, I love libraries. They are magical places of books and other resources for learning and enjoyment, and they remain one of the truly accessible places. I want to reinforce everything Tricia just said about the third space. They are invaluable to our communities. I appreciate this presentation. It's exceptionally well done, and it's wonderful to see that there's been a 4% increase in the number of users in 2023. And with the plan I'm hearing, I'm anticipating an even larger growth next year. There is one area of sadness, and it is with regard to the litigation issue. This has been a difficult past few years, and I really would like to see coming. I don't want to hear whose fault it is. I just want to hear a plan of how to move beyond this, because this current path is damaging to our library, and I would love to see it end. And that is directed at both parties in this litigation.
Thank you, Mary Catherine. Thank you for your presentation. We really appreciate it, and I challenge you to keep going with those numbers and keep bringing them up, because I would love to see 3,000 people by the 2026. I know you are. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. I need a motion to receive that information from the library board. Councillor Booth. Councillor O'Neill, you got I see your hand. Any further discussion? All in favor? That motion's carried. Morning, Bull.
Morning.
We're going to move on to item 7, 2024, second draft budget. The 2024 second draft budget reported from Nicole Leach Binham, treasurer, dated February 20th, 2024. And we'll go through we'll go through your presentation and then we'll see if we can meet the resolution. I'm a little bit concerned, but we can get it all done today. Anyways, that's your goal and prerogative, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor. So my approach today, I thought council's already been provided with answers to all the questions that we had summarized. So I thought that I would leave that to the end in case there's any further questions. I've also provided a revised copy of the budget itself, keeping the levy at the 6.7%, which was what was recommended by council in past. I know we're planning on going into closed at some point to discuss the items on the issue papers with regards to staffing. You'll note that your revised issue paper list does show the items that there were resolutions by council at our last meeting and had passed, and any items that have been removed either by resolution or by staff in discussion. You'll notice that the I think it was $25,000 item for the it's a tractor. Yes, sorry, the lawnmower was, staff did remove that in this copy. So what I thought we'd do is just start by going through each of the sections, and I can summarize for you the highlighted items in green, which are any changes that I've made to this this budget. So there were no changes on the revenues tab. If you forward through to the council section, we did change the council legal amount. It was 20,000. There was a motion passed at the last meeting for that to be reduced to 15. So that's the first change you'll see on there. The second item is actually in blue, and the reason why that's in blue is there were discussions at our last meeting with regards to the commitments and contributions and donations, and council had asked me to go back to the physician recruitment committee to find out where we stood on that. And you will notice I believe in the answers to my questions was that we do actually have an agreement in place. That agreement does state that 1 year would need to be given in order to remove ourselves from that agreement. In addition, the amount that is showing for 2024 was agreed upon at their committee meeting, which we did have council representative there for that meeting. So my recommendation would be is that would stay unchanged for 2024, but that if council wanted any changes made, that a resolution would need to be made to give notice if that's what council so does decide. So I don't really want to have any discussion on that before we move forward to the admin section.
Mary Catherine, do you have a comment on this? You're the council rep.
Yes, so we just had a new chair, and it was his first meeting as the chair, and his goals for this coming year are to do a new strategic plan. And that strategic plan is addressing several of the issues that we have spoken about. And the other is a higher advocacy role and an invitation being given to our member of provincial parliament, so David Piccini, to come and speak with us on these issues. And my final comment is a more personal comment. I've learned that I don't have a doctor as of April 30th. That committee is working very, very hard, and they've already got a potential candidate that they're hoping to entertain and essentially sell our community to, so that I will have a doctor. And I am sure that myself and everyone else who finds themselves in this position would be happy to pay the 1 cent in tax increase that this comes to continue to have someone who is playing that role in our community.
Thank you. Anybody have any further questions or comments? Go ahead. Joan.
To you, Mayor Logal, I'm just wondering, the way we have left it, that we need to give them a year notice if we are opting out. So I'm just wondering if we opt out with the ability to opt back in at the end of this year.
I was in discussion with Representative, probably the boss, I guess. And she mentioned that, and it was her position that they're working to do some stuff for the township today. As far as providing some services. And if we opt out, then they would quit that. They would quit trying to carry that forward.
For the next year,
Period.
but we're still in for this year.
Yes.
So why would they do that?
Why would they do that? Because
But if we like what is coming across, then we would opt back in at the end of 24 or 25.
Mary Catherine, do you have a comment on that?
Yes, I do. So that did come up at the meeting. We do indeed, if the township did choose to leave, have the option to come back in. If we did, it was the position of the chair that they would like us to make that immediately after the new strategic plan, rather than waiting to budget next year to inform them. But yes, our catchment area is Cobourg. Our residents are going into Cobourg to get their doctors there. The reference that Mayor Logal is making is to a different initiative and an application where it's to get rural nurse practitioners. And the #1 location they're looking at, if that is successful, is in the Rosemeath area. So that would have very direct impact on us. It is sort of it's not directly physicians recruitment, but it's alongside physicians recruitment. It is the OHT application. But yes, it is not like we've been forgotten in their discussions.
Go ahead, Greg.
I know we've had this discussion as council. We had it last year, and I think I've expressed my opinion on it, that I think this is totally a provincial situation, that they fund the hospitals and the doctors and things like that. This is an increase of 64%. I think, I don't have the exact numbers, but I believe it was a 64% increase. And I think it's time that this council took a stand and said, we're going to give our 1 year notice. And in that year, we're still part of that program for this year because we've paid. In that year, if we don't get feedback from our member, Mary Catherine, that things have progressed along and there's going to be something, then at least we've given our notice that next year we're out. And I'll repeat the same thing. In all this time of all the money we've paid, there's not been one doctor for A&H, not one. And like I said, I don't think it's our responsibility, that the municipal government is not responsible for hospitals and stuff like that.
Thank you, Greg. Anybody else have any comments?
Catherine has
Mary
her-
Catherine?
That, to address your concern there, Councillor Booth, that's precisely why David Pacini has been invited to attend one of the physician recruitment meetings. While I absolutely agree, on the other hand, I think at a penny a household, which is really what we're talking about, the average taxpayer does not care whether that penny comes from municipal or provincial. They just want to know that that's their role, is to get a new doctor, because this situation is getting worse rather than better. And that's true everywhere, not just for us here in Northumberland County.
Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
Excuse me, through you, Mayor Lobo. So, maybe this group needs to come down and do a presentation to us to kind of give us an update of what they're going and what their future plans are, but for, like, I agree with Councillor Booth. Like, sometimes we put these committees together and they're a good idea, but as time goes on, you see that if they're not producing, there's a time that you have to say enough is enough.
Nicole, are we paying this, coming out of the budget this year, or is that for this year's expense, 2024?
The 9967 is the amount that has been put in the budget for 2024. So if you were to give 1 year notice, then that amount would still stand, but you'd be looking at what would be happening in 2025. So if you gave your notice.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea, Councilor Ainsworth, that we do bring them in. I'm not sure if they were here last year or not. They used to send somebody over to make a presentation,
Somebody.
and it's probably appropriate. They were here last year.
Yes, Linda was in.
So that would be my thoughts. But I'm not the one that's gonna make the motion. Right?
So I will make a motion that this council give notice to the Physicians Recruitment Fund that we're giving our 1 year notice. And I'm willing to review that again during the year when our council rep, Mary Catherine, comes back to us and shows us that there's been some kind of, I agree with what Councillor Ainsworth was saying. We formed this committee, the intent is good, but the wheels are spinning. Nothing's happened over those years. So unless we see some kind of movement from Mr. Pacini or something, then at least our notice is in. And like the deputy mayor said, if we see nothing, then our notice is in and the time is ticking for them. If we don't do that now, then we're going to be in for another year, which is next year. So I think the time is now to say, this is it. So I'll make the motion that we give our 1 year notice and we'll review it through the year, whether or not we come back.
Sorry, if I could just clarify the motion. Are you accepting that request for the donation in that amount as well?
Well, we have to, because as Nicole said, we are part of the group. We can't leave. So the 9,900 and whatever, that I agree, we have to pay. We have no choice because we voted on that last year and we didn't remove it. But next year, 2025 is a different story, that if we've given our 1 year notice and we don't like the progress that we've seen, then the amount next year is zero.
Would you consider a friendly amendment to ask them to come and make a presentation to council?
Oh, yeah, they can, you can ask them to come and I'd have a lot of questions to see where the expenses of that money is going to see. But I think that would be separate. I mean, I just want to say that we're giving our notice and whatever. And then if council wants to decide, I think it's a great idea. Have them come. They used to make a presentation all the time to show us, right?
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Lobo, I'm wondering if we could revisit this
I
in,
think we should.
October, September, October.
We need to get a second before we discuss it.
Well, I was gonna make an amendment to that as well.
Probably should have a second here and then make amendment as required. So Mike, are you seconding? the
Yeah.
motion? I'll second. Go ahead.
Will you have your amendment first?
I didn't make it.
Well, you wanted you wanted this group to come.
And I agree with that.
So that would be one amendment.
No, that's part
That's part of it. Okay, so then I would suggest we revisit this, if that's okay with you, Councillor Booth, in September. And that way that gives this group notice that what our thoughts are for the end of December, because that's when we have to opt back in, if that's what is decided.
And I like that. I think we're going to rely on Councillor O'Neill that she goes back to say, listen, we're out unless we see some progress. And according to you, Mary Catherine, they're saying give them advance notice for budget. So I think the faster they move on it by September or October, when budgets start going, they should have an answer for us. If they don't, then it's like, well, then we're out. So But I'm agreeable to that, Deputy Mayor. I think we need to say, draw the line in the sand to say we're out unless we see progress.
You okay with that, Mike?
Yes.
Any further discussion? Mary Catherine, you got your hand out?
Yes, I do. I am uncomfortable with this going forward unless there's something else in place. This, the largest portion of this budget is to have a person who is actively building relationships with potential candidates. If that is not happening somewhere else, then we're going to not get any doctors at all. And we were successful through that committee and that person of getting 2 people last year. It is a part-time position. Secondly, Linda Kay would have been thrilled to have had the opportunity to speak to council, but we never asked for that. And so she was disappointed in the way that questions came rather than an invitation. But I am uncomfortable with this and I would like to see this a recorded vote as well.
Thank you. Any other further questions or comments? There's a motion on the floor.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, sure. So the motion on the floor is to give the committee a 1-year notice and approve the 9,967 request for donation. And further, that the committee be requested to come to council and make a presentation and to also come back and revisit this commitment with the committee in September to determine if we're going to opt in by the next budget season.
Mentioned something else, but I just want to confirm that we are sending a letter, so we have hereby notice that we're giving you.
I think there has to be something.
I
official.
did say give notice, but yes, if you wish staff to send a letter to give notice.
Yeah, there has to be something official. You just can't.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
It's a
It-
recorded.
Yes, she's asked for a recorded vote, Councillor O'Neill. So I'm going to start with Councillor Ainsworth. How do you vote?
I just want to clarify, if I vote no, we're putting it down, or yes, we agree with the motion.
Right.
So what is it?
If you want to,
You got-
favor the motion, is yes.
Okay, yes.
Deputy Mayor Stover,
Yes.
Councillor Booth,
Yes.
Councillor O'Neill,
No,
Mayor Logal.
No.
That's 3 in favor, 4. The motion's carried.
The motion is carried. Thank you. Yep. I have a question though. When it's green, what does that mean on the sheet?
Mayor, as we go through, the green means there has been something changed from the last draft. And those are the items that I'm going through and I will be giving you further detail as we go.
Can I ask whereabouts we sit now?
We are at the 6.7%.
Yes.
I made the changes and ensured that at the end of the day, any impact was back through the reserves.
And are you going to keep us up to date on the reserves as we go through?
I will be bringing back a summary at the next meeting once there's decisions on the issue papers so that we have a full idea of where that puts us.
Go ahead.
Okay. So if you go to the administrative section of the revised budget, you'll notice that on the admin caretaker. Let's make sure I've got the first, yeah. Actually, sorry, the admin cost recovery line. That's for the library recovery. So as the library board was also talking about, that's the amounts that we're getting back from the library for administrative costs. Please note, I think in your 2023 actuals column, there's an amount of $20,000. The original proposal for HR costs that were being billed back to the library were higher. So that number will be revised in our books. So for comparative purposes, it will be the 13,719 for the 2024 budget, which is in line with the actual 2023 costs.
What was before?
Sorry?
What was in there in 2024 before? 20,000 or?
I'd have to go back and open them.
You don't have to decide.
Yeah.
It's probably around 20 grand.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question just about that, since we're talking about the cost recovery? Through you, your worship, to Nicole. So the payroll part of that, Nicole, the question was asked at one of the library board meetings, is when they hand in their hours to payroll and the checks are cut, is that going through? We handle all the payroll and the checks and everything. It's not we're not going to a third party company that then dishes out checks or something. Everything is done with our payroll department, right?
Through you, Mayor, that's absolutely correct. So we are processing all of the payments, issuing them, reviewing the timesheets and putting them into the system. All of that's being done. So that was one thing I didn't note, that during the library's presentation, they said, well, we only have one full-time person with benefits. However, there's a lot of other things that go into us processing the payroll and looking after the HR side of things, because HR isn't just benefits. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah. They just wanted to know, and I couldn't answer them. I said, no, I think it's all done internally by our staff. And they just said, so does it go out to a third company that then does checks or this or that? So that answer is, okay, so you answered it. It's all done internally.
Yeah, correct. So additionally, when we were allocating the HR portion to the library board, it was 13%. And that was based on in past when we were outsourcing any of our HR costs. Now that they are in-house, what I went back and did is looked at, the portion of our actual payroll for part-time and full-time staff versus the library. And a more reasonable percentage is the 7%, which is what you see here in the budget. So I think that the library board was not entirely happy with that. You could probably comment to that, Councillor Booth. However, they were happier than with the 13% that was initially in there. And other than knowing that it was originally outsourced, I'm not sure what the cost driver was that was used when that was set up prior to being.
And there was a presentation made to the previous library board about if the library would like to take over their own HR stuff and their own payroll and everything, because they don't have to go through the town if they want. We've given that option and they can, but if they want to do if they think they can do cost saving somewhere else and have it done, privately, they only have one full-time and like 4 or 5 part-time. If they think they can do it cheaper, then they're more than welcome. And I'm sure they'll look into that, right?
Dave, you have a comment?
I do, through you, Mayor, Councillor Booth and Nicole. My concern would be when the election happens and when the board changes over for the library board, that whatever process is put in place, that consistency is imperative. The reason for using our system and the township system is because it does change. And when things do change over again, because there's only one full-time employee, that your chair, vice chair, and your library board does change. So we would just need to ensure that it is appropriate.
Continue.
So I'll just continue on to the next item that's been highlighted in green, and that is the caretaker cost internal transfer. We spent a fair bit of time talking about that at our initial meeting. And what that is in past in our building department budget, the caretaker costs were always just left in there. And really what was determined is that our building department needs to be self-sustaining, and we want to keep that separate from other costs, as well as make sure that our different departments actually reflect the cost of running that department. So what I had asked our caretaker to do is give us a breakdown of the things that he was doing within each department that make up his work every week. And this is how we came up with this. So you will see that within the admin department, I have now updated that with the percentages. I put in really just my own estimates in the first draft, but this is based on the actual time that's being spent by the caretaker on administrative tasks. So really, at the end of the day, there's no impact to the bottom line of the budget with this item, in that it's being taken out of the building department and being distributed amongst the other departments. So
Just a question through you, your worship again. I know you're busy looking there and you don't. So in theory, if we added up all those caretaker costs throughout the whole budget, it should be the total of the caretaker's budget, right?
that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if you go on to the next section, which is the building department, you will note that the from building reserves line has been updated. And the reason for that is that we and it's in the notes there, that there was a resolution, which I spelled wrong, has to remove the $45,000 in building upgrades, which then reduce that amount. Less funds would be needed to transfer from reserves. Also added, I did add another $1,500 in there to cover costs of the software. If you go down to the next green section, you'll see that building software, I increased that to 21,500 based on the actual quotation that our CBO had received. It was originally put in this budget at 20,000 and should have been 21,500. So the offset is to that reserves line as well. You'll see the zero in the building capital building upgrades that has been highlighted in green is now zero. You'll also note
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Just a question. So I know a few years ago in the last council, the building department came to us with software that, is this affecting the software that the previous building person came to us and said that they would now be able to do things right in their truck? I remember the previous one coming to us to say they could do stuff in their truck when they did their inspection, and they could actually print off right in their truck so they didn't have to come back. Is this different software? Maybe the CAO knows or Nick knows. Are we adding to that? Is this something different? Because I remember we spent a few $1,000s. I think it was over $5,000. It could be just a few years ago to upgrade.
through you, Mayor, I did include our CBO's answer with regards to the software, but I will pass it off to our CBO if he has any further comment.
Nick, are you there?
Oh, there he is.
Good morning.
Morning. Did you hear the question?
I did, yes, through you, Mayor. The software that was purchased in 2019 allowed for the creation of computer-generated inspection reports. It's kind of a standalone software where it's not integrated with email or anything like that. So yes, printing a report from the pickup truck in the driveway of the job site was the upgrade from the system that was being used before. The software that I'm hoping to implement or asking to implement is a web-based or cloud-based software. It will take all the data that we've compiled into the current software. It will utilize that, but it will also operate, being a cloud-based software, it will have a portal at which applicants will apply through online. And then when we need to do inspection reports, any reports for council or anything else, all of that data is very quickly and easily accessed.
Answer your question, Greg? Go
So I
ahead.
guess, Nick, the question is, do you still have the capability when you go out to the job site to print off the report right there in the pickup truck? Or do you have to come back and print it all out and then mail it to the person or take it back?
Through you, Mayor. So with the new software, I have the ability to do my inspection on site, add photos to any inspection reports, and then email it while I'm standing in the house. I don't have to bring it back to the laptop. I don't have to print it off. Everything's done right there. Everything's recorded before I walk off the site.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I guess my next question, Nicole, the blue talks about building capital furniture and equipment. 15,000. So does that mean that's staying, that's going? What does blue mean? Blue means it's,
Through you, Mayor, I believe that was a highlight that I had not removed. It was to highlight for me that there were items that I was putting into my questions at the last draft.
Answer your question?
so I guess
Right
the
now,
if
still-
we're not moving to another office, then that 15,000 is not needed then, right?
Through you, Mayor Lowell, the move to another office is still required. More space is still needed for the building department, even if we just have one building officer. We still need more area.
Okay.
Nicole, just a question for you through Mayor Lowell. So I see that with taking out the building upgrades and the small adjustments that you've made, this now is having a negative impact on the levy. Is that correct? You're showing that there's a minus 39,231 for a minus 0.53% at the bottom of the building. Can you, if you could please just tell council what that means?
Sorry, I'm just having a look at where you're looking, you're talking about the minus 0.53%.
Just a reference point, if you could tell council what that means in the report.
It should be zero, so I will have a look at that and just make sure that that's corrected. Sorry, the reason for that is last year we had raised by taxation 39,238.07. So this year we have zero. And the only reason for that is that last year we didn't redistribute the caretaker costs, so they were actually included as part of this budget. So it is a reduction in the impact to the levy from that perspective.
So through your mayor, so is that the explanation is the levy impact is negative 0.53%
Correct.
overall with this? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Is there any other questions on the building department before I move on?
Go ahead and, Mike.
To you, Mayor. And Nicole, can we, because it's here and it's throughout the whole budget, can we deal with the subscriptions and memberships in this one here for the rest of them? I know you put a bit of a reply in what they were for. And I agree that if our buildings guy or our senior planner needs to belong to memberships, I get that, but there's probably some, because I think that whole program is about almost $30,000 a year. So can we deal with that so we don't have to keep bringing it up for every department?
Maybe you got a comment?
So, yeah, through you, Mayor Logal, Councilor Ainsworth, so just so that I understand correctly, this has to do with the subscription for memberships of different entities within each department, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so,
it's actually subscriptions and memberships. So I'm assuming that they get pamphlets or books or flyers or something sent to them.
so council has brought this up a few times
Yeah.
in the last couple of years. I would suggest that the way that we handle this is through policy. And we would create a policy with respect to what actually memberships can be obtained from staff, which one should be. If you want to dive in deeper to that, I would suggest that that's an operational matter and that we have a meeting with the department head outside of that to understand that. Question to Aaron, who's here in the audience as well. Aaron, is there a policy with respect to what memberships we can purchase? Okay, so it's been left up to the department head under the direction, and we'll work to do that. But definitely it has been noted that council has a concern, and I believe that becomes our responsibility to look after.
So can we cancel them for this year until we figure out what we exactly need instead of wasting the money?
So
Can I comment? Like, just so my understanding of it is there's subscriptions and membership. The membership will be to the building association will be $500, and probably the material for subscriptions will be $50 or something like that. I don't know that for sure, but that's kind of my understanding. And it will not only be building, it will be the planners association, the accounting association, all of them. And I think they have to pretty well keep up with it. But it would be interesting to know what portion of each one is in there.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. We had this argument last year and it's back here again and we haven't did anything about it.
Okay, go ahead.
through you, Mayor Logan, Council Ainsworth, I will say that the statement is incorrect. Not to challenge you, but it is incorrect because I know that a bunch have been dealt with. Certainly since last September. And as we continue to move forward, I know that we are combing through a lot of different budgets to identify deficiencies. And we are making change.
Okay.
I can think of at least $20,000 to my point right at this moment that has been changed with respect to subscriptions. And we will continue to look at it for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay. And moving on to the next department, which is bylaw, there are no changes within that department. So I will have you continue on to fire.
There is no change.
There's no changes to fire. Okay, so the main change here, and really it's ins and outs, and I had commented on this when we looked at the fire department at our last meeting. And that was that ensuring that it was in line with the procurement schedule that was provided. So you will note that I have updated the fire debenture line to match that, so it's 447,500, which you will see in your fleet schedule that was handed out, or the procurement schedule. I have also updated the from reserves and the fire capital vehicle line to ensure that, again, that they are in line with that procurement schedule.
And just so everybody's aware, I have asked the CAO to look into those debentures and see if we can't postpone those couple orders to later on. Because, not because, okay, go ahead. But I don't think we can afford it, to be perfectly honest. Not in the next couple of years, a couple of years after that, if that's possible. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Mayor Logo. So through you to you. Mayor Logo did ask me to do this. Obviously, it's a decision of council. Yolanda, we would have to look at with respect to the decision that was made. The procurement plan was voted. I know that procurement plans are front end heavy with respect to debt, but the design through asset management is to get the township out of debt and to get their equipment brought forward. I understand the comment with respect to that maybe we can't afford it, but through the budget process and looking at all of the numbers identifies us that whether we can or cannot. And I think that going through the process is smart. The council can look at delaying any asset management plan or procurement plan. The caveat to that is that you're delaying the inevitable, but that is a decision of council and I respect that. We are much like the Public Works Department, we are looking at trying to replace old equipment. And at some point we have to do that. The procurement plans do get the township updated and out of debt in, I believe, 6 years or 7 years in total. So yeah, it's a good question. Respectfully.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ray.
Since we're on fire, and maybe through you, your worship, to Dave could answer this. So I'm just looking at what's being replaced in 2024. And it talks about the Zodiac marine unit. But then it talks about the marine trailer. So is the boat being replaced? But we're talking about something with Hamilton Township with the marine trailer, or? Because I think you mentioned before that was a discussion that would come back to council on whether or not we're even going to offer that through the fire department, of whether we have a marine unit, that boat or something. So maybe you could just explain something there with sort of go on, but.
Yes, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor. So great question. The marine unit is again 20 years old. We're having issues with the inflation aspect of it, which is a concern for floating. The replacement of that vessel, if we were to buy something similar for fire, would be probably around 125,000, which is something that we had considered. Last council, when we brought this forward, had said that we are staying in the game with respect to response on the waterway. It should be noted that it is a federal waterway. So we're looking at opportunity or options for chargeback of service on the waterway with respect to this similar situation that we do with the Highway 401. The other thing is that the number of residents that have water access only, and with respect to providing emergency services to them. We are also considering the NFPA requirement with respect to training. And the NFPA number is 1006 for your reference. It has to do with technical rescue. We have found a boat that the Ottawa Fire Services uses a lot on their waterways. It is a specifically designed rescue boat that cannot overturn. That also eliminates us from having to enter the water with firefighters. So it changes it changes our health and safety aspect to what we have to do for training to be able to rescue people from the water. The boat is also designed so that it can be pushed across ice, so that it can be used 365 days of the year, where your current vessel sitting in Station 3 can only be used for 3 seasons. So specifically when there is no ice. So we're definitely looking at being able to provide a better service for lesser dollars. And also the added health and safety aspect to it. So that's what we've done with respect to that. We have spoken with, definitely in communication with Chief Robinson about the entire south end of Rice Lake. That we now have a 3-station response, which is Bewdley, Harwood, and Roseneath, to deal with emergencies on Rice Lake. We're no longer calling up our Station 2 from Centerton. So there's a savings there with respect to personnel time. And also with respect to ensuring that we have appropriate protection in place all the time for the township. So there's a lot that goes into that. Did I answer your question?
Partly, so the marine trailer,
Yes.
if we're getting a new boat, I guess we need a new trailer then, do we?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
The trailer that we currently have is more of a utility boat trailer. And there is a strong chance that the new boat, which is a lot smaller, by the way, it only has a 15 horsepower motor on the back. So the maintenance costs and everything are that much less. And we can probably continue to use the trailer that we currently have.
Okay, and I guess a question, because you just brought it up. So does Hamilton have a marine unit or are they using ours if?
No, Hamilton will be purchasing the same. And then they also have a pontoon boat that has been made into a unit that is going to sit at Golden Beach Resort, which they're providing us a boat slip for free. And then we also can look at our firefighters with respect to training dollars and equipment and how many people we actually need to have trained on it versus the entire department.
So I get,
Mr. Clerk, can I ask a question? Go ahead. You're not gonna.
oh, thank you. I was gonna say, yes, you can. So I guess my comment would be, it's not a firefighter boat. It's not something that has a pump on it and they can fight. It's basically, it's a transportation boat. So if they're going to the island or whatever, they can carry hoses, pumps, things like that, right? Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill. Mary Catherine, are you there?
Sorry, yes, I am, and I was just talking while it was muted, sorry. A bit of a point of order. This council has approved a procurement schedule and there shouldn't be any discussions happening outside of
That was a
council.
year ago. We can make the changes if we have to, Mary Catherine.
Correct. It is that those changes need to be coming as a council decision rather than discussions outside of council. And a question, if I could, through to our treasurer. Is that okay, Mayor Logal?
Yes.
If we're going to be funding from lending, is there a report that is just going to automatically come forward for us to look at our lending and our options on that, or is that something that would need to be requested?
Cool.
So through you, Mayor. So once budget is approved, then absolutely it would be coming to council with a report on our recommendation for lending. It's on the debenture line. However, looking into whether, and this is something I've actually spoke to the acting CAO about as well, is that it doesn't necessarily mean we have to go the debenture route, depending on what type of interest rate they have at the time that we're moving forward. If we were looking at going to one of the banks or even potentially funding in-house, because it's less than half of $1 million, if our interest rates on our bank accounts would allow us to fund internally, that is also potentially an option if that's the better option. So we would look at those and then bring a recommendation back to council.
Thank you. That answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
So the Zodiac that you're proposing, Dave, is that $80,000 or is this a different price then? Guess that? In the original, I'm under the understanding that the Zodiac that you're proposing is different than the one that's in the budget? Because it's Ottawa?
No, Mayor Logo, the dollars that are in the budget obtain you the vessel
Okay,
and also the training that goes with it for our firefighters.
okay. So that's not all capital, or was it? Shouldn't be all capital, should it?
The majority of it is.
Well, maybe it comes as part of the project. But the next question I have is the 2017 Dodge Ram. We want to replace that this year, making it 7 or 8 years old. Is it that bad in shape?
I guess that's subject to a mechanic's opinion. It's a 7-year-old first run response vehicle. The vehicle is not lost because it is still retained within the fleet. Yeah, I guess I really don't know how to answer that.
Well, okay. I'm questioning it because I don't know if we can afford that type of stuff. So that's why I'm asking. But anyways, we'll just keep going. Go ahead.
Through your Mayor Logo, I'm just wondering, as when I'm hearing you talk about this 2007 Dodge Ram. Oh, sorry. Did I make it older or newer? I don't know.
10 years ago.
I guess you should replace it then. Through your Mayor Logo to our Chief Administrative Officer. You did note at one of the past meetings that there were 5 or 6 trucks at one location. Are they older or are they newer that could fit this bill?
Those vehicles were ordered for the department that they're in. And there's a varying of ages. Of
Okay.
vehicles.
Okay. The other thing, if I may, Mayor Logo, that when I look at this marine unit, would the old one be able to be sold?
For your Mayor Logo, so all of our equipment that is of age is sold and that money is then put back into reserves for that department. Yes, so there is a counter to that
Okay.
for sure.
And the only other comment I would have is that I think it's, imminent that we have a unit that can travel, and if it can be used 365 days of the year, I think that's the route we should be going.
You're regarding. Oh,
Yeah, the boat. I think the truck should be able to go.
Mike, you have a comment?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Yeah, actually, I had the same questions when it came to the marine unit in the truck. And I also want to throw in there the extrication equipment for $82,000. I don't, like, did we talk about this last year? That this was part of the procurement plan, or was this something new?
Go ahead, Dave.
So the procurement plan, with respect to what's in front of you is for apparatus. The procurement plan for equipment has not been created yet. Well, it has been created, but it hasn't been finalized yet. Hopefully that'll be 2025. But when we brought the extrication equipment to council last year, it was to replace one set each year, so that it would come back again in budget at each station. And it identified that the equipment that is being used is for hydraulics, so auto extrication precedes the amalgamation of the township, which makes it older than 25 years. The industry recommendation is 15. And we currently don't have any way to test the old equipment as it has been determined. So it becomes a question of how much do you depend on the jaws of life when you respond to a car accident to work every time? And how old can you allow that equipment to get? That's a liability question for council.
Yeah,
It's really risky.
It's so, Mayor Lobo, if I can comment on that, when you're looking at a graph, your car accidents fall into the low frequency, extreme high risk category. And so as we go through, maintaining budget practice, et cetera, these are all great questions that need to be answered. I know that council likes to look at all of the small details within the budget for sure. I think we really need to keep our focus on the horizon. Overall, the fire budget increase where it sits currently is 66,000. That's over last year, which is, if you took that by percentage, it's not that big. But I understand it.
so what's our number when it comes to fire calls versus first aid calls? And do you put the motor vehicle accidents, are they a first aid call or a fire call?
So I'll first say that we're getting off script a little bit with respect to the budget.
Well,
but
I
I'm
just
gonna
want to see
answer.
like, it's because we always talk, it's a huge, and I agree with the mayor that it's a huge cost.
Yeah.
You know, just like everything else that we talk about, we put this value into it and we use it very little time kind of thing. So it'd just be nice to know where the, does it need to go somewhere else at this time?
Does it?
So versus fire calls, like, I mean, when I was on the fire department, we'd get 100 first aid calls and 15 fire calls kind of thing. Is that kind of still the offset?
The offset by percentage of medical calls is still fairly significant for sure. I would suggest that we not get too far ahead of the master fire plan and the community risk assessment, which is coming to council. It should be in front of you for March. The majority of your expenses with respect to a fire department or paramedic service or police service is training and preparedness. You could spend your entire budget just getting ready and never have a call. And the question comes, to what level of service are we providing? With respect to medical calls, we are what's considered a tier 2. So if ambulance is more than 15 minutes out, or if it is a VSA, which is vital signs absent, et cetera. So we're not first called for medicals unless it hits a tiered response level, and then we are called. So we already kind of have we're not providing top medical service with our fire department by any stretch.
And really, are we expected to?
No, that's why we have options.
Go ahead.
Through your Mayor Logo, just with this discussion on medical calls, I don't want to mention names, but our firefighters attended a residence that the person, had fire not attended, would have been deceased. And so you prepare and you prepare. So, training is good. You never know when there's going to be a call. So I just put it out there. The gentleman's very happy that he's alive today.
Anybody else, got any other comments? Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, so continue on then. There were no changes to emergency measures. There were no changes to animal livestock budget. So the next one is rec and culture. Same page. Are we good?
I did, sorry, Mayor Lobo. Through you, let me get the events line. 70. The events of 15,000. I just wondered what was all included in that.
Sorry, through you, Mayor Vogel, which budget are you on?
Oh, rec and culture. Or am I jumping ahead?
I think you are.
Oh, sorry, let me.
So we are on rec and culture, and I was just going to go through the changes.
Oh,
that were
okay,
there,
all
and
right,
if you
sorry,
have further
I'll,
questions, that would be great.
I've retracted.
That's okay. So most of the green in the rec and culture section is to do with a couple things. One is the caretaker costs that we talked about earlier. Within rec and culture, we have the 5 different community facilities. So therefore, the caretaker costs have been distributed amongst those, depending on what is being done at those locations. As well, you'll see the cost recovery lines for those facilities that have libraries at them, such as the CCC. So you'll see that all of those lines have been updated. You'll also see that there's some where I've just highlighted my notes, and that was just to make sure that we had note in here that we had left the locking mechanisms in the budget for resolution of council with a report from staff to come back. So that was done at the last meeting. So I've updated the notes for any of the facilities that we had included the $1,500 for locking systems. So those are the main changes there. Just looking to see if there's anything else. I think that's it for rec and culture. So absolutely, if you have any questions, if you want to.
Just so I understand, when you mentioned the caretaker, that's just being distributed?
That's,
They added on, you're adding on one place and taking it off.
yes, Mayor, it's been taken out of the building department and distributed to the departments where the caretaker is providing services.
And you mentioned the locking system is pretty good. Motion to leave in and not use if the port or staff is inside of the factory. I'm not sure exactly sure what you mean by that.
Sorry, through you, Mayor, there was a resolution of council that if they were happy with the report that came back from council, then we would move forward with the locking systems. And if council was not, then we would not.
Okay, so they were in the budget or not?
They are in the budget.
They are.
Is there any further questions?
Through you, Mayor Lobo. I can't seem to find the number, but it's events and it's a $15,000 line. Thank you. Oh, I was going- I just wonder what that included.
Through you, Mayor, was that under a specific facility?
It's just right under total revenues on page 24. And then rec and culture wages, and just at the bottom of that section, 15,000 for events. And then the capital expenditures were 15,000.
The account number is
Oh, I see it.
79500.
Thanks. Thanks, Sharon. So I don't have a note in there. I'm going to defer to Jen Steen if she's online.
Go ahead, Jen.
Yes, through you, Mayor Logal. Council will see a 2024 calendar of events after the Rec and Culture Committee sees them on February 26th. But there are currently 19 events that are planned throughout the year. So that includes all events and programs put on by the Parks and Rec Department.
Joan?
Yep.
I don't know if I'll find it in here, maybe in a different section, but there was $70,000 for playground equipment in the budget somewhere. Can you comment on that? Or Nicole or Jen, I guess.
Through you, Mayor, I'm going to defer to Jen. The only playground equipment, or I know we had fitness equipment last year. I'm not sure about the playground equipment unless that's in the Parks and Rec budget that you're referring to.
Are you familiar with
Through
it?
you.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Yep, through you, Mayor Logal. I don't believe, we don't have anything in the budget this year for parks equipment. So I'm not sure where that 70,000 that you're speaking to is in the budget. We're not upgrading or putting in a new playground this year.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move forward to the Parks and Rec budget. You will note that I updated the funds coming from reserves, and the reason for that is that through discussions that the acting CAO has had with council, we did remove the mower, and the mower was funded by reserves, so that amount has been reduced by the $25,000 to $65,000. If you go on from there in the arena section, you'll see an amount of $11,000 that has been highlighted. That initially we only had $1,000 in there. We have added $10,000 for consultant to review the arena options. That was something that was brought to council. So that was the estimate that we've put in for that. Okay.
Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, are you done arenas or?
I'm just about.
Okay.
There, you will see caretaker costs allocated there as well, an amount of $1,078.46. So that's a new account within that in both the arena and the parks. The only other item that you will see updated again is the parks capital upgrades, which is where we have the $25,000 for the mower and have removed that. So those are the only changes. If you want, I'll open it up for questions.
Go ahead, Greg.
Through your worship to Nicole. So I guess one of my questions was going back to page 31 of 63, which is the arena, talks about revenues. And I asked the question about the sign revenues. That last year in 2023, we did not collect one dime from anybody advertising in the arena when I see there's a dozen signs up there. And I'm guessing that the answer came back to say that during COVID, sign revenue was not charged as regulations around public spaces were changing regularly. Since COVID, the uptick in advertising revenue has been slow. So I guess my concern is if the signs are up and they're not paying, why are the signs up? And if we're expecting $250 this year, I guess my question through you to Nicole to the arena managers, what do we charge per sign? Is it $250 for one sign for the year for the arena?
I could be wrong. Let's know.
I
My
Through you,
understanding
Mayor,
was
not-
that they purchased the sign and they pay $250 a year for all, each sign that's up.
So I guess even further, my concern is if there's a
But-
dozen signs up there and we're only expecting to collect from one of them this year, then why are they up? In my previous place of employment, I looked after signs. If you didn't pay and you chose not to advertise this year, then your sign came down. And we're blaming this on COVID. Last year, hockey was open. There was at the start of the year, but I mean, those signs have been up. They're still up and I'm gonna say I don't buy that explanation. I don't know. Sounds to me like we're not actively involved in collecting the money from that. So I guess my other question was any signs taken down? Because I was at the arena a little while ago and I didn't see any signs being taken down. So
Councilor O'Neill. Councilor O'Neill?
Sorry, this is a similar comment to Councillor Booth's comment. We have a number of sponsors who've contributed to events that were held. And I do not see that revenue showing up anywhere. So just curious about that as well.
Mary, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor, and in answer to that, and I think Jenstein could probably expand on it, but the sponsorships that we have received generally are accounted for against programming costs. So they are in the rec and culture budget.
Thanks, Nicole. Mike?
Through you, Mayor Logo, more of a comment. You know, out of all of our centers and stuff, like, our arena brings in $118,750 in revenue a year. That's probably $65,000 more than all our other community centers put together, not counting the cost that it does to run them. And in total with the arena and parks, $220,000 and $750. So to me, the numbers versus the revenue versus the how much it costs to run it doesn't explain the amount of people that use this facility. Right? And so when you see those numbers and the rental hours and the people that are coming in and out of that center, even tells me more and more why we need that arena in this community.
I'm not going to comment on that, Mike, one way or another, but I appreciate your comment, but it's a little bit off the budget.
It is, but I'm just saying it's
This will
it's the
come
best
back again.
facility we got.
Yep. Anybody else have any more comments on this? Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, another one through you, your worship, to Nicole, is the question was asked about why the conference training mileage and mileage and meals was so high for the arena and the public works together, which is $8,000 when you have one full-time person. You have it says this covers 1.33 full-time, which I don't understand what that means. 5 part-time operators and 9 students. Well, I don't think the students are eligible for any training. I could be wrong. Maybe the HR person can answer, but out of the 5 part-time operators, can you tell me what training they took then? Did they take an ORFA course or something like that? I just find it extremely high. We're looking at budgeting, I think it was $2,000 per staff in the admin or something, when we have one full-time, then we've got $8,000, so. Because if you're gonna say 5 part-time operators and 9 students, then show me what training you sent them to, then that cost $8,000.
Through you, Mayor, I have to defer to staff. Those questions were sent out.
Yep, I understand. You have any comments, Dave? It's a good question.
Just to confirm through you, Mayor, you're talking about Public Works and Parks and Rec?
No, just the arena and
Arena and Parks?
and parks.
Okay. Because you're saying 9 students and they did not have 9 students.
Okay,
what
that's
threw
what's
me
in
off.
the answer. It says this covers 1.33 full-time, 5 part-time operators and 9 students. So maybe that is winter students and summer students. Which probably makes sense. There's probably 3 or 4 in the winter and 3 or 4 in the summer.
So I can speak to the 1.33, your full-time staff, which would be your foreman for the arena, who is full-time, and the 0.33 would be part of your rec and culture staff because she is split through 3 budgets. Both of them have memberships through
Orpha?
Orpha. I do know there was some training taken through both of them. And I know there's more required for this year, at different levels. I have spoke to our foreman about that. So I do know our foreman was asking about taking a couple more courses. I believe they ran around $1,000 a piece. And as well as our Jen could speak to this. I'm not sure what she was planning on training for this year as well. As for students, we do training with them. They do their HR downloads. So that is a portion probably of it as well. And I know last year we did send our public works students to Northumberland County to do some safety training as well. And I can't confirm whether they went as well.
Okay, so the internal training though, when they do WMIS and stuff like that, that's not a cost. That's internal that you have that, right? They go and they do their WMIS thing. So there's no real.
No, so. sorry,
Okay.
that's not. But it would be those safety courses for students to get them. I know just offhand, the county had like a traffic one, if there's traffic involved for public works. I just can't remember offhand what the parks did last year.
Okay, and I guess the question to that is that means that the I won't mention her name, but the Parks and Recreation person that you mentioned, that her budget, she's not included in the admin budget for training? She is part of this one then?
She is part of this one, arena. She's part of arena, parks and recreation, the 3 budgets. She's broken down her position into all 3 of these budget lines. So if a course costs $1,000, 333 of it would go to one portion in each, all the way
So
down.
what's the 3 then? There's parks, there's arena.
And recreation
Oh,
and
okay.
culture. Yes. So so you have those in there.
Okay,
And then any of your arena staff, if we were to outsource any of Zamboni training, any of those items that we were looking at and bringing our staff up to date would be included in that as well.
okay, thank you.
Counselor O'Neill?
Sorry. Yes, I'm looking at, I know I wrote a question this last session about the options analysis, and I see that there has been 10,000 put in for the options analysis. I'm very concerned that that amount does not include the future studies and assessments of the building that would be necessary for us to be grant ready. with that small of a budget line there, I don't see how we are going to be able to do anything at the arena. It appears to me that the plan is just wait till it leaks and then shrug and say, oh, gee, I'm sorry, can't do anything. If we're going to be ready, we need to have the studies in there and get them done so that we are grant ready and we can move ahead.
Dave, you have a comment?
I do, through your Mayor Logo, to Councillor O'Neill. Councillor, with respect to the research that we've done, the project or the information that council has asked for us to find someone to do it has come in under 10. The report has yet to come to council because this is a budget meeting. It's not before you, and it will be at the next council meeting. The project to gather the information that has been requested by council will take through till probably September, which means that this is going to put us into the 2025 budget to identify the next steps and assessments that will be done. So that is the reason why it is only 10 for 2024.
You got your answer, Nicole, or Councillor O'Neill?
Thank you for clarifying that. I just think we all need to understand that that number means that there will be no next steps during this coming year. So long as we're all on the same page on that.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just going to stop for a second and make a comment. I know we're asking an awful lot of specific questions and we're probably really into the weeds. I think council is one way or another saying that, you know, we know the budgets, we can't, we're not really promoting spending as much as we are. So we're just asking the questions and we're going to leave it up to staff to meet whatever council requires. Because I don't like getting into the weeds, but we're going to talk about them anyways. Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, so the next department budget is Public Works. Okay. The first item in green that you'll find, council brought this to our attention that it showed the arena tractor as sale of surplus equipment in Public Works. So that did get moved. You will see that over on the arena surplus equipment sale line now. You will also see that because the roads needs study was approved in 2023 but was not completed, the Public Works from reserves amount, I'm now showing $15,000 coming from reserves that were left from 2023 to cover the cost of the roads needs study. There was a question from council with regards to the Public Works admin contracted services line, which did show $19,000. That included the $15,000 for the roads needs study, as well as the cost of the proposed alarm system. You will also note that I updated the from reserves for capital line, and that is to ensure that again, it's in line with the procurement plan that was brought forward. And in that plan is that plan to purchase one piece of equipment, and that was the cat loader for 2024, and then put the other a little over $100,000 into reserves. So you will see in the capital vehicle line as well that includes $500,000 for that cat loader, as well as the $350,000 for the delivery of the truck in 2024, and that was, again, that was in the budget in 2023. So those are the items that you're seeing in green there, are really just to account for what we're actually planning to purchase and where the funds are going for procurement purposes. The only other item that you will find is near the end of the public works section under roads projects. It was clear from council that they felt that the $750,000 was low for the roads projects. And we did increase that. So as we had gone along and been updating the amounts in the budget, we did increase that roads budget line for 200,000 to ensure that those comments that were brought forward by council were incorporated in this budget. So I think those were the only things that we changed in this budget.
I'm confused a little bit on the tandem trucks that we have and are on order. Have we got one on order or more than one?
Yep, thanks, Mayor Logo. So it's been confirmed that there is one truck on order. I wanted to make just a suggestion for a capital vehicle, which I think could help alleviate another 250,000. Because staff has put together the procurement plan for equipment for the roads department, I'd ask council to consider the public works capital vehicle line, change that from 850 to 600. And then the truck that needs to be ordered, that hasn't been ordered, that was supposed to have been ordered, that is the first thing that we start with in year one. And then the remaining dollars in that account, we can look at what other equipment and what other opportunities that we can find and bring that back to council as a report to be able to use those additional funds in the procurement plan. And also would give staff time to look at some efficiencies with respect to equipment in public works.
Go ahead, Greg.
So clarification for me then, Nicole, through your worship to Nicole, in council in 2022, we approved a new tandem truck, a plow. That's on order now and to be delivered this year, right? And last year at council, we approved with the public works manager another tandem plow. So has that one been ordered?
For you, Mayor? No.
So I guess it's a concern to me that they think it's a valuable piece of equipment and we are 2 years out from 2023 and we don't have one of them here yet. And I'm looking at the tandem plows and we're using some of them that are 2006, 2007, 2009. And we don't even have the ones. I know there was a concern and even the county had it. The mayor can attest to this, that when you're ordering trucks and things like this, it's a year out. But I don't understand why the one we authorized last year hasn't even been procured yet, which means we're probably not going to get it until 2025.
I can address that, Councillor Booth. So I can't discuss the particulars as to why the vehicle hasn't been ordered, or with respect to management, that would have to be done and closed. My recommendation to council, though, is one that I do believe will work. So if you lower that capital works line from 850 to 600, that changes your increase to levy to 102,987, Nicole, which would change the percentage as well. I'm looking at the bottom of page 49 of 63. We get to work and get the truck ordered that has not been ordered right away. And then the remaining dollars in that account, we come back to council with an efficiency report on the equipment at the public works. And we figure out the remainder of the procurement.
Through you, Mayor.
Yep.
Just to clarify, so you're proposing we reduce the 850 to 600,000 and then use the additional funds in the replacement schedule for the 600 to go into reserves.
So just to change the words just a little bit. Yes, lower it to the 600. What I'm recommending to council is that we get going on the procurement plan. So that we can get the township out of debt and we can get the equipment replaced. Considering that the vehicle was not ordered, that we just look to start the procurement plan with that being job one. Once we get that vehicle ordered, we determine the value of that vehicle, where it fits into the procurement plan, and the remaining dollars for this year, we can then come to council with a plan on how we're going to use the remaining dollars. But I'm asking to earmark that at 600.
So just a question. So looking at the procurement program in 2024, we have nothing that's being replaced right now, according to this plan, right? I don't see anything that's got a colored box in it. Got a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 past service life, but nothing.
So through your mayor, so that is correct. And that is because we are working with a cash strapped system. We're trying to get things moving forward. We need to order what hasn't been. And then we need to get moving on in the procurement, but we also need to come back to council with what we need to replace. We also need to come back with options. There might be leasing options that are better for getting more done. There might be financing options that are better for getting more done. It really all depends. There are financing opportunities with equipment that are at 0%. And we're going to try to use the dollars to the best we can, but we need to come back and identify that. So we know that the truck hasn't been ordered. So let's get it ordered. Let's start the procurement plan, and that's the recommendation. And that'll take another 250,000 off of your budget, which will affect the amount of dollars being taken from reserves versus the amount going back in, which is the overall goal of council. And if we're talking about 250,000 or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, now we're really impacting the budget, which is better than discussing $50 subscriptions.
Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor, do we need a motion for that?
Uh,
What Dave was asking?
I think so.
Well, I'd like it to come back, though. That's theory, what he's saying. I'd like to change this to make sure to show us what it is. I don't like voting on something just right now to say, yes, that's what, come back with it written so that we see it to. I mean, I agree with the one thing the CEO is saying right now, that truck that we gave permission last year to buy, let's get it in motion and let's get it out there and get that going. And then I believe that money was set aside already. So that's in reserves right now. Is it not, Nicole? Because it was approved last year
Correct.
and it was, I want to say 430, 440 or something like that. Memory serves 400 and something for a tandem. So
400, I think.
Through you, Mayor, just from looking at, and I haven't gone back to the actual approved 2023 budget, but in my comparatives, I'm showing, last year, we had only put in, 300,000 for a new tandem. There's a total of 349,000 showing in capital vehicles for last year. 25,000 was for a new steamer and 24,000 for the new water tank.
So did we get the water tank?
Through you, Mayor, my understanding from the answers to your earlier questions were that no, that's why it's back in this year's budget.
So no water tank, no tandem truck. But it's in reserves though, because we allocated it from last year, right?
Correct.
So it should not be affecting this year's budget if it's already sitting there.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor O'Neill.
I concur with what Councillor Booth was just saying. I wouldn't want to make that type of a change through a motion at this point, but rather it be brought back to us. And I think I like what our treasurer was saying, that rather than it being taken out of our roads budget completely, because I am satisfied that a 4.75% increase within that department is acceptable, but that become contingent upon our asset management plan and our roads needs study, and then determining where that amount should be allocated.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
If I may, I'd like to restate what I said. I'm trying to find you money in the budget. I'm asking you to lower the I'm suggesting that we lower the 850 to 600. And that we get started with ordering the truck that has not been ordered. That comes out of the 600. Then with the monies remaining, we come back to council with a report on how those dollars would be used, including an updated procurement plan to show council. So it's the same thing, but what I'm asking is to do the exact same thing. We're saying the same thing, but I do believe, and this would be up to Yolanda, I do believe that you probably need a motion for
Uh, Through your mayor logo to our chief administrative officer, that's basically what I was saying. I look forward to your report. I look forward to getting things ordered that should have been ordered last year. So I'm in accordance with that.
Councillor O'Neill.
Councillor O'Neill?
Now that it's been clarified that that money would remain within that budget area, I'm comfortable with it.
Thank you. I guess I'd like to make one final comment. I believe when I look at the PSLs that Greg referred to, which is past service life, the new truck that we hopefully will receive in 2024, which is on order, and we're hoping to get it this year, that will replace the 2006 likely, which is 18 years old. And then there's another one that's going to be, the next one is 2007. So we get another one, it'll be 18 years old when we replace them. 2009, we're then there's another one in 2009 and another one's in 2010. And I think we all, or I believe that snow plowing is one of our more important things that we have to do. And I look forward to seeing Dave's plan on how we're going to get those trucks back and get the system as quickly as we possibly can.
Looks like Councillor O'Neill has.
Councillor O'Neill?
Sorry, I just forgot to take my hand down.
I thought maybe you were asking for a washroom break.
You're reading my mind.
Pardon me?
You're reading my mind.
Oh, right. Am I? Can you go another 4 minutes?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just,
Councillor Ainsworth?
To you, Mayor. So at this time, I'd like to make that motion. That we, excuse me, that we go through with Dave's suggestion for the $850,000 to be dropped to 600. The 250 be put in reserves, and for staff to come back with the procurement plan moving forward.
Do I have a
The public
seconder for
works.
that motion?
Here, Catherine, gonna second it?
Go ahead, or pardon me, seconded by Deputy Mayor Silver. Any questions or comments?
If I could just clarify, are we asking staff to bring back a report based on the recommendation that he spoke of so that it's in writing and that an updated procurement plan be associated with that report? Is that what
Yes.
we're looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
More the procurement plan than the update. On,
Yeah, what basically you're asking for, if I understand you, right, you want to see this procurement plan updated so we know what exactly what we're doing. And you're willing to take $250,000 out of the budget. Or rather, pardon me, have a positive effect on the reserves, I believe, at this time.
Yeah.
And
That's
when,
what's gonna go.
when will we get that report, Dave, reasonably?
As soon as we can.
We're gonna.
As soon as we can, we'll definitely go to work for you. I would hope a month or two. Really all depends what comes across my desk.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Have we had a good time to break, Nicole, or no?
Through you, Mayor, I think there's not much left for me to go over really. The library board already went over their changes to their budget. So I think really it's just the planning department that had one change in it. So if you want me to just quickly go over that, if council has any more questions, then my only other thing would be that, the only thing outstanding would be issue papers, but I know we still have a closed session for any of the staff items, so. So if you want, I can go forward and do the planning and you can go from there.
You okay, for the 5 minutes? 10 minutes?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
So like I say, I won't bother to go through the changes to the library board. They've already explained. If you go to the planning department, you will see there's only one line item, and that was, council had asked about the $5,000 that was still in there for furniture and equipment. Originally, that amount was estimated due to potentially moving staff in the planning department. However, that's not currently our focus. So we did leave $1,000 in there for miscellaneous ergonomic and other equipment that may be required throughout the year.
Seeing nothing? Excuse me, seeing no questions? That was it, then, Nicole?
That was it. So unless there's any further questions or changes that need to be made with regards to the issue papers, those are the only items that I have left.
Okay. Mike?
Can we go through that checkoff sheet we have for the issue papers, just to update that?
Yeah.
Updated.
Well, I don't know, there's some that are staff on it or. Yeah, I don't think we're quite ready yet, Mike.
Okay.
So I would suggest we take a break. Another 45 minutes, that's a really good. Half an hour.
I think 45 minutes, you have staff here that, have stuff to do too.
Okay, I'm okay with 45 minutes. Make the motion, Mike?
Yep.
Seconded by Greg. All in favor? Thank you, everyone. So we'll see you back for 12:45. You got that, Mary Catherine? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Well, good afternoon. We're back from our recess. And we'll continue on with our open meeting. I need a mover and a seconder to come back from recess. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover and seconded by Councillor Booth. All in favor? Motion's carried. Nicole, where do you want to go now? Right. 15.
Better?
What are we going to that sheet? That's all something, right?
Just need to talk more.
Anything under administration.
I
What,
thought we were going-
sorry, what are you looking for?
Are we going to the sheet that?
The
summarized
issue
it all?
paper listing,
The issue papers or the sheet?
the issue paper listing. It's right in the front. I think it's,
Tab 4,
yeah, that's in here.
second page.
There. Right there where we're supposed to be. Okay, there's a few things we gotta discuss, Nicole.
Yeah, I think the first one would be the building permitting software that we were discussing earlier.
Okay. I believe that's coming, it's the IT upgrades coming from the modernization fund. And this is as a,
No, we've already.
oh, we've already done that. Okay.
Yeah, it's building, number 1, permitting software.
Okay, have we done 2 and 3? Okay. We'll go-
We're doing
oh,
those
yeah,
in closed.
Permitting software upgrade for the building department coming out of operation reserves. Anybody want to comment or questions?
Tab 16 is the building tab. And the issue paper should be in the back of the budget.
So this is for building department issue paper number 1, upgrading permit. Permitting software to cloud-based systems. The cost is 21,500. And recommendation from the chief building official is that this is a benefit. Any questions or comments? Go ahead.
So, Mayor Lowell, just a question about this process. So we have discussed the issue papers, last meeting. There was questions raised from council at last meeting for staff to bring back the answers, which were identified in the document that was provided for reference to council. So, is your plan to go back through all of the issue papers again, or are we going to address the specifics that were answered by staff?
We should go back and answer the questions, look at the questions first. And if then we have any more, then we'll have to ask them, but there shouldn't be any more, I think. There might be comments, but there shouldn't be any questions. So we gotta go to the front of the page. Correct?
Yeah, and there was, Dave, there was 7 that were, I believe it's 7, I'm counting 7, Nicole, that were voted on and already passed already.
Yeah,
Great,
issue
thank you.
papers. So if you're looking for the answers and questions of staff, it's in tab 2 of your binders. And I believe it starts on page 2 for the building section.
So with that, Mayor Lowell, it would be good if we had any further, if the questions have been answered and you're able to direct. I'm just thinking about how much time it would take to go through all the issue papers again
Yep.
for our process.
Anybody have questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
In regards to this, will this be able to run off the iPad and the
laptop, a computer inside. Not. Both places.
I can answer that, Mayor Logal. I would assume with the way software is created today that it operates on all platforms.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay,
Mayor Logal?
yes,
My question is about the process here. I understand the need for cloud-based software in today's environment. However, would this not need to come back then through the procurement bylaw rather than just approving a single one at this point?
Mary Catherine, so council would be approving the dollars in budget. That does not veto the procurement bylaw or the process. So we still need to follow that bylaw.
Perfect, thank you.
so there's nothing coming out of the levy. Anybody else have any further questions or comments? Well, we'll ask the question then. Are you supporting this cost? There's actually not a cost, a software upgrade. And if you are, can I get a mover to do that? Yep, moved by Deputy Mayor Stover to accept. Seconded by Mike. Any further discussions? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. The second one is the building inspector and funded by the building department fees and operating reserves. Any questions? Dave?
I would like to address this one in closed.
Okay. Number 3 is officer furniture and equipment for canteen building, DC reserve funds and working capital reserves. Anybody have any comments on this one?
Just a question.
Yep.
Is the amount still the same as what's in the issue paper, or did that change this second time around?
Through you, Mayor, I don't believe we made any changes. I think we had 15,000.
Other questions? Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I guess I'd like to defer this one until we've had our meeting enclosed, because this is talking about office furniture for 2 staff and stuff like that. And I don't think we've voted on whether or not there's going to be another building inspector yet. So I'd like to defer that one because it probably ties into the closed a bit.
Yep, okay. We'll push that one back. Moving down the line, it looks like we're at Parks and Rec. And the request, issue paper number 2, full-time arena operator. Coming from the levy. Same thing.
And can we go back, John? There's the commercial lawnmower, but that was removed, right? So we
Yep.
can strike that one, Parks and Rec number 1.
Yep. Public Works. Is this a one that you want to hold for closed? Closed? Yes, mechanic roads operator. Public Works equipment replacement. DC reserve funds and working capital reserves.
Sorry, my mic should be on. Mayor Logal, we discussed that and a motion was made with respect to that.
Some motion.
For staff to come back with a report on the procurement plan.
Okay. So we aren't making, are we making a decision then? Or did we say we're going to support? We did say we're going to support, did we not? Okay. Water tank, You had a chance to read that? 0.27 coming out of the levy. Any comments? Questions? Go ahead, Mike.
through you, Mayor, just to confirm that we're replacing two this year because we didn't get one last year, or are we just getting one again?
Dave, do you have a comment? I can't remember. Otherwise, I don't know.
Or can we just start from square one again if we didn't purchase the one last year?
We can do whatever we like, whatever you like.
Mhm.
What would you like to do?
Can you come
Well-
back? Sorry.
Yep.
Mayor Lowe, through you, Mayor, can you come back to that after close?
Has this got anything to do with personnel? So is that why we're doing it? Because I don't think that
Indirectly.
should really go to back to.
Indirectly.
So if I could just ask a question, though, it does say in the issue paper, we did give permission last year to replace one, so that money, Nicole, is back in reserves for that one?
That's correct.
Okay. So like you said, Mike, I guess we'll have to talk about that one.
Road projects, OCI F funding. Is that the one that we're taking it up, Nicole? No, it's not.
Yes, that was increased from 750 to 950.
Okay. But I gotta move her in a second to do whatever you like.
And ask a question.
Okay.
It's nice to see we're moving up to 950, but I'm still kind of a little disappointed, sorry, in the issue paper where it says the township will be looking at the following preliminary selections and will further short list with kilometers and cost to assign. So there's like 24 roads on there. And obviously that money's not going to do it all. When can we reasonably expect from the public works that what we're doing?
Through your mayor, Councillor Booth, we can expect that in March to council. So the reason the roads are there is because those are the ones that have been identified that need to be worked on. But we have some information that needs to come back to council. As an example, there has been a request for the repair of one road that will remain nameless at this time, but the repair cost is $250,000. So when we look at that, we have to look at the reasons why they're on the list. And we have to look at the dollars allocated to different areas or different roads. And council needs to be or should be involved with that because questions come back from our residents. So that is why that is put in there. So again, the 950 was an increase that was requested by council. So that's the first reason it's there. The second is my recommendation would be that council could approve it in theory with respect to the budget, but we come back with a report to discuss which ones are.
Sounds good.
That makes a lot of sense to me. We know we could need more money in it than we have at 750, so the staff is recommending that or whoever's recommending we go to 950. And I don't think we should have any problem. We'll find out later what we're gonna do with it, but just the fact that we're putting it up $200,000 more, I think that's good. Go ahead, Craig.
And I agree with that for this year, and I'm hoping, Mr. CEO, that next year we can be more progressive with this, more proactive like Hamilton, that when they do make the presentation in front of council, they say it's 950,000 and these are the roads we are doing instead of a list of these are the wannabes. And that's not on you, Dave, because I know, but just hoping for next year, it's like council, this is what it is. If you take money away, then one of those roads is coming off. Thank you.
Mayor Local.
Yep.
Through
Okay,
you,
go ahead.
it will be nice to have that information. I know we have asked for it before. Look forward to having that in place for the next budget. Thank you.
Yes, for 2025.
Yes.
Thank you. Mary Catherine, do you have a comment? Councillor O'Neill?
Sorry, the roads need study will be invaluable in getting those answers of which roads in which order. So I'm looking forward to, with my fellow councillors, getting that information. And I am prepared to make the motion that we move forward with the issue paper at 950,000.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Booth. Further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Well, that looks like we've completed the list, have we not?
So just to confirm, Nicole, then that's 9 that we've approved so far, right? And 2 were removed by staff, the canteen building upgrades and the commercial lawnmower. So 11 in total.
That's 10 approved.
Nine.
I have 9.
So is it the equipment replacement that I'm? Is that not approved?
I've got that as support and the road project support. You have another one?
The equipment
Through you, Mayor. The equipment replacement, there was no resolution on that. Other than staff bringing back a report and reproducing a procurement plan. But if you wanted to approve this issue paper going forward, I'm going to need a motion on that.
That is for Public Works, item 2, issue 2.
Yes.
Okay. So we need a mover and a seconder to support the equipment replacement coming out of DC reserve funds and working capital reserves. That is the second one from the fourth one from the bottom.
And that's exactly what the CAO mentioned and we voted on it. So I would be in support of that for exactly with the resolution that we made this morning.
Okay, so you don't want to approve the issue paper at this point in
Well,
time?
Well, we can, yeah, well, let's
They
get them
they
off the
did
list.
this morning.
Get them off the list.
Sorry, just for clarification, if the resolution was made this morning, then it's already approved, correct?
Yeah, that's what I would say.
The resolution didn't approve it per se. It just asked for a staff report to come back.
We did approve $600,000. Right?
Yeah.
So if you want to make a motion to approve 600,000 for that budget item?
Okay,
Um,
go ahead, Mary.
Eric. My understanding from this morning was that 600,000 would be on the equipment procurement and the remaining funds would be contingent upon further investigation of the asset management. So we're approving the full amount, just not in the way it was worded there.
Anybody have any problem with that? Can I get a seconder then? Seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Further discussion? All in favor? And did you think there was another one, Nicole?
I think that was
No,
it.
I think that was.
That was the 2. So we have a total of 9.
I think that's 10.
Okay.
Yep.
What? Okay. Oh, but I'm sorry, I missed the top one. What's it? Oh, software upgrades.
Yeah.
Did we do that one for the building department?
Mhm.
Okay.
So 10 approved and 2 out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further on material that's open? Being none. We'll go into close. So the motion reads that the council of the township of Alnwick Haldeman will be recessing to a closed session under section 239 to consider the following items. Personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board members, regarding the 2024 draft budget staffing requirements. The labor relations or personal negotiations, reading 2024 draft budget. And the acting CAO, chief CDM treasurer, and the deputy clerk will be in attendance as required. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Booth, second by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. So that means. Okay, I have a motion in front of me to rise from closed session and report. Be resolved, the council of the township of Alma Calderman reconvene to the open session of the council meeting at 4:45 PM. And further, that the confidential resolutions moved in the closed session regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual, including in municipal or local board members regarding the 2024 draft budget staff requests. D, labor relations or employee negotiations regarding the 2024 draft budget staffing requests from the CAO position. And hereby refer to this open session of council for adoption. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any discussion? All in favor? And you want them all read?
Yes, please. Sorry if I could just interject through you, Mayor Local. Because we are again late within this meeting, could we maybe bring forward a motion to extend the curfew of the meeting again in open, because we did extend it in closed?
Moved by Mike, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? That's carried. So I gotta get another book now. Read them off, what? Get them good grades. I hope I get good grades. Well, I know you've got an extra one. Nope. Can we do them all at once? One name book? Oh, I got it. Because I don't want to take off on the
Oh, here, I want it.
Okay, thank you. That, the permit for software upgrade be approved. Mover to seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stovers, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion is carried. That the building.
You missed the two.
We're not doing
part-
nothing with that one, correct? The next one is the furniture, office furniture equipment.
Just first two.
Deputy treasurer.
Pardon me. IT upgrades, we don't have to do. The deputy treasurer. That, what was the recommendation?
Defer.
To defer?
We're waiting for a report, is that correct?
Through you, Mayor, I think we were deferring and we were gonna bring it back as part of the final draft of the budget for approval by council.
You're gonna bring it back as part of the process for the council, that's fine. All in favor? Carried. Yes.
Aye. Did we have a mover and seconder? I don't believe we did on that one.
Okay. Okay.
No, we didn't because we were just doing it now.
All right.
I believe.
Got a mover and a seconder, then, please? Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. The next one, I believe, is the part-time customer service representative. The motion was,
Bring
proceed
to
that.
open to vote on it, so you can vote on it and open, yes.
to proceed with the recommendation. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor Booth.
Oh, Counselor O'Neill also had her hand up.
I can't get into. All in favor?
Mayor Logo,
Yes.
I was just gonna make the motion with that there would be a full, job description before this person's hired. So move forward with a full job description in place.
Okay, can you move that?
Are we talking about the customer service position?
Yes, we are.
Okay, moved by Counselor Ainsworth, seconded by Counselor Booth.
Are you amenable, Councillor Ainsworth, to adding that it will happen once there's a full job description?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Councilor Booth, you
Yep.
okay with that?
Yep, good.
All in favor? Carried. I believe the next one is the office furniture for the canteen.
Building inspector.
Okay. The building inspector. Can you read the motion, please? Or pardon me, yeah.
I believe this was to defer to open for voting.
Yep.
So it's whatever council decides.
Okay, Councilor Booth, do you have a comment?
I think we discussed that we would put that off as per the CAO talking about it, that with the idea that the door is open, that if he can come back to us during the year, if for some reason the uptick is way there and it's necessary, then he could discuss it with council, but at this time, it would be no. I think
That's your
Deny,
motion?
yes.
so. That would be my motion, yeah, if it's correct, I think.
Councilor O'Neill, are you seconding?
I can second that. I think the wording might be that we were looking, that it could be brought back if there was demand and corresponding revenue to warrant the position.
You okay with that?
Sounds
Councilor Booth?
exactly what I said, yep.
Yeah, it was.
Anybody else have further comments? All in favor? Carried. The next one is the office furniture for the canteen. And I believe we split that up into two different sections. Is that correct, Ms. Paul? One
Through
entry
you, Mayor,
capital?
yes, we were going to split that up into two.
Okay, so the first one is for the office furniture and what was the dollar amount you wanted to put in?
Through you, Mayor, I was unclear. The only thing I know that we did reduce, and maybe we can check with the acting CAO, that we were gonna reduce that to 5,000.
Yep, and 10 for capital.
Yeah. That was for the office furniture. And then the building was going to be I don't have a figure in front of me, 15 or 20,000. Let's get the first one off. The office furniture for $5,000. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, second by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Motion's carried. And was it 15,000, Dave?
10.
5 and 10. $10,000 for the building upgrades to the building itself. You get a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor O'Neill. You got your hand up?
I'm still debating it in my head, Mayor Logo.
Okay. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Booth? Further discussion? All in
This-
favor?
Sorry, this is up to that amount, correct?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor? Oh, sorry, Nicole's got
No,
her
go
hand up.
ahead, finish.
All in favor? Motion's carried.
I just have a question because in the earlier budget meetings, we did pass that we were not going through with the canteen building upgrades, so I don't know whether there's anything that needs to be revised from that addition, that original meeting.
Yeah, that is
Go
enough.
ahead.
Mayor Lovell, Nicole, that was with respect to the 45,000.
Correct.
The decision was to lower the 1 by 10, move 10 to the capital upgrades, 15.
Right, so we're good with that. Now the canteen building upgrades is 10,000 rather than the 45.
I think that, sorry, Mayor Logo?
Yes, go ahead.
I think the difference was that these are from minor repairs of the space with painting and that type of thing, rather than any major renovation of the space. So it's minor renovation and repair.
That's, I think we all understand it that way.
And now.
It was all in the same,
Yes, but we split it
the
into
same
two.
paragraph, not the other one though. So it was all for number 3.
Yeah.
So it was 10,000 for minor, for the office furniture, or sorry, 5,000 for the office furniture and 10,000 set aside for
Minor.
minor repairs.
Up to 10,000.
And number 4 was the
Yes.
45.
Let's finish up. So we finished the first one. Now we needed all in favor for the upgrade, small upgrades.
For number 3.
Yep. Carried. Parks and Rec, full-time arena operator. Mover and a seconder. Then we're gonna have to decide what, because I can't remember what we decided, but I can get a mover and a second and bring it on the table. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Can you remind me what we had talked about there?
Yeah, this was. Sorry, through you, Mayor. This was to be voted on in open session, contingent upon the costing and job description.
Any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Maybe to defer to Councillor O'Neill, I think you had mentioned something, Mary Catherine, I can't exactly what the wording was, that what we were looking for.
Sorry, we were looking at the job description and the comparators to something similar to recreation facilities laborer. Where I have been informed that it's okay to leave it with that title for now, but when it comes back to us, it will be a broader title. And that was picking up on your points about the qualifications that would be appropriate for this job.
Further comments? All in favor?
We don't have a mover or a seconder for that. That was just a discussion.
I believe Councillor Ainsworth and Councillor Booth did.
They moved it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right. I
All in
missed it.
favor? Motion's carried.
2-1.
Next one is planning, correct?
No,
Okay, Parks and,
no, mechanic roads operator.
I'm sorry. You are correct. The next one is the mechanics road operator. Mover and a seconder, put it on the table. Moved by Councillor, pardon me, Deputy Mayor Stolber, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. What's your,
It's off the list.
it's off the list? Okay. All in favor? Motion's carried.
Mayor Logo,
Yes?
I believe our discussion was while this was removed from the list, that would be put into reserves in the Public Works Department.
Okay, and probably Nicole's gonna move that around to wherever she sees the best, but we'll take that up for consideration. The next one, we have Public Works, equipment replacement,
No, the water.
the water tank.
Oh, no, I have the equipment. Oh,
We already
sorry,
voted
yeah,
on that.
God.
Pardon me?
We already voted on it.
Yeah, this morning.
Okay, the next one is the water tank. And there was a bit of a good discussion on that, and I'm gonna ask Councillor Booth to move that.
I'll move it, and I think the discussion, according to what CAO told us, is that we have a fire vehicle currently right now that we could use instead of purchasing the slide-in tank.
Okay, a seconder for that, Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. The next one is regarding Public Works, road projects, the OCIF funding.
No, that's already
We
been
did
voted
that.
on as well.
We're done.
We are done.
Done, holy moly, good. Yes, we did do that. Okay. Anything else that we have to discuss? The next one is the confirming bylaw.
Mayor Logal, I just had a question in regards to, if I may. This is coming back February 26th.
I don't know if we know that yet
Oh,
or
do
not.
we know that? I thought it was, but I don't know. Maybe it's not. So we won't be, I just wondered when the date was. We will bring it back to discuss.
I had a question as well, but I'll address.
Thank you.
Your question, through you, Mayor. I think we are putting pressure on myself and staff to get this back. I still need to sit with the CAO tomorrow, to revise just the payroll side of things, and then work that back into the budget and make sure that the reserves then balance back and do up a report to council. So I don't know what everyone's schedules are like if we were to push it back.
Push it back a week from the
A week.
one.
Because right now it's part of a regular or a planning meeting. Normally we do that when we're at the point of already having something that's fairly final, but when I still have to rejig some numbers.
March 12th.
No,
How about after your discussion with the CAO, then you can send us out a thing and ask us, because the week after, I don't believe we have anything, but it depends on what you and Dave discuss and how long it's gonna take you.
so you're talking the week of the 4th, 5 or 6?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe
that
so.
week seems open. I know people will have.
The 5th is a Tuesday.
Tuesday's fine for me. What time do you want to have it? 9:30?
Well, that's if it's even okay. We don't even know until they meet how long it's gonna take her to.
I mean, I think that's gonna give us the extra week so that at least next week I could have it to.
Well, we'll let you decide when you're ready, or give us a week's notice, but we'll shoot for the 5th. Is council all available on the 5th? Are you available?
I would, I might not be sitting in a chair, but I'll be, I think, the 5th. The other thing I wanted to ask as well, Mayor Logal, are we going to have an information session at night like we did last year? Like a town hall type meeting?
I don't think we've decided that. But that would be probably put it into the week of the 11th. Is that what you're asking?
So I believe what happened last year was we had a meeting, same as this one on the 20th scheduled for public input. And we did put it up on the website and the Let's Talk and gave people the opportunity to ask questions. We didn't have any questions last year. We didn't have any this year. So I'm not sure whether we need to look at another way of getting it out there, or people just generally don't have anything to bring forward.
Yeah, because I know it was at a night. And because I couldn't get to one of the meetings I had to get to because we had but maybe we were doing it at night then. I don't know. Yeah.
So I have one question. I just wanted clarification on the resolution for the full-time arena operator.
Sorry, I believe my understanding is that it is to move forward with the position once there's a full job description that encompasses something similar to recreation and facilities labor.
Do you have the resolution?
Yeah, no.
Mary Catherine is correct. That's what the
So-
resolution reads.
So we're taking it out of the budget for now? That's what I'm not-
It says move forward with it. Move forward
are
with
moving-
it, but it's contingent upon the costing and the job description.
Okay. That's
Put
fine.
it in, but we may want to take
So
it.
we need the job description before we bring it back in the final budget? Is that?
No, before we actually put it out as to
For post.
to find someone before we post the job.
So you can put it in the budget. We'll decide after, when we look at whether the budget will
Okay,
pass or not.
yeah, because I know we did have discussion around that being put in there initially not at the rate, so we will look at that. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Mayor Logal, through you, did you want to make a motion then to set a date for a special budget session to close things up? Is there a tentative date that we could at least put out there?
I think that was the 6th.
5th.
The 5th is the Tuesday, the 6th is the Wednesday.
I think we decided on the 5th, providing Nicole has got enough time and she'll let us know. Then it'll be a 9:30 start.
Okay, so if we could get a mover and a seconder.
Want to move her in a seconder to get, have Nicole look at that and confirm with council at least a week before. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Further discussion? All in favor?
Mayor Logo,
Yes?
are we sure? I mean, we've now spent 2.5 full days on this budget. I think we've given all the direction to staff that's necessary. Do you and the other councillors foresee this being a timely process, or is it something quite we're ready to approve and it can be part of our March regular meeting?
We're not ready to approve anything until we see what we're looking at. As far as I'm concerned, I don't want to go into a public meeting and not know exactly what the budget presentation is going to entail. So I think we do have to have a special, or a meeting so the council has a good understanding of what's in the budget, and then we'll proceed from there.
Okay.
Just through you, Mayor, my intention as well, because I know council is concerned about reserves, is having the revised reserve schedule so that you can see where we're actually sitting once we make the changes that we make.
Yes, absolutely. Anybody else have any more comments? Can we move on to item 9, which is the approval of the confirming bylaw? Bylaw number 12, 2024, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the budget session held on Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. Be it resolved that bylaw number 12, 2024, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the budget session held on Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, be read and deemed to be passed this 20th day of February 2024. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Motion's carried. And 10, adjournment. Be it resolved, the budget session of Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 be adjourned at 5:20 PM. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We have fully baptized you, Emily. Oh, yeah, that does go.